Tony Khan has commented on Bray Wyatt to AEW Rumours. WWE have added a top star to Raw following poor ticket sales. And Impact Wrestling have released a wrestler. Find out who in a bit. So kicking things off, Bray Wyatt, when he left WWE, there was a lot of speculation. There was a lot of talk. Surely everybody thought this is a man that no company could turn down.
Yeah.
This is a man that would be a benefit to anywhere he went. This is a man that will, in many people's eyes, 100% end up at AEW.
Yes.
But now, it looks like that might not actually be the case. So speaking on WFAN's Moose and Maggie show, Tony Khan addressed these rumours that Bray would be going possibly to AEW. And he noted that while he thinks Wyatt's a great wrestler, and while they've spent time together personally outside of, a work sphere, they haven't talked about him joining AEW, which is,
that's surprising.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Just with the amount of wrestlers that Tony Khan has acquired for AEW, you'd have thought Bray Wyatt would have been straight up there on the list, personally.
Yeah.
He's an asset wherever that man goes, and I think with the history, obviously, with Brody Lee and everything as well, I think a lot of us thought AEW would be the perfect fit for
perfect
him.
kind of landing spot.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
start a whole new thing. But Tony said he's a great wrestler, and I've got to be honest, we haven't really talked at all. I've known him in personal life, and I've got to spend a little bit of time with him. But as far as that, we haven't talked. I've saw a bunch of rumours, but that's not something anybody's really talked about. I think you never know. And so Part of me just thinks that this could be just a massive swerve.
That's what I thought.
But then
too.
that makes me part of the problem, because if they don't want to sign him, and I'm going, they're gonna sign him, and they just don't. And it's gonna be like, what? But Bray would be a perfect fit anywhere. I think he'd be fantastic for a small stint in NWA. I think he'd be a massive get for somebody like Impact.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And Impact have a long history of allowing people to really have that level of creative freedom, don't they? I mean, we had all of the Hardy stuff, and ever since that, the world of wrestling kind of blew open, and now we're here with competition, like actual competition for the first time. So I guess we're going to have to just wait and see.
I guess we will, but obviously now with the Forbidden Door open as well, him being on NWA or Impact doesn't necessarily mean he can't go to AEW.
Well, this is it. It's also very open now. So,
and just with his sort of gimmick, like this monster, this ethereal, weird person, like he could literally. It would be amazing if he just showed up in segments, just like boof in the back somewhere.
You know, it would be awesome, and it probably isn't awesome at all, but in my head, it's awesome. The second I start thinking about it and breaking it down, it's probably going to be terrible. But what if he was like a Fiend-style character on one show, and then he was just the kind of a little bit weird, kind of something's bubbling under the surface on another show?
I like that idea.
At some point, you get that kind of violent explosion of that character. I don't know.
That's a really cool idea. Tony?
Yeah.
Hello?
Go on, Tony.
Go on, Tony.
Just do it.
Billy Corgan, what are you on with these days? Nothing.
But speaking of AEW, we obviously earlier on addressed the fact that, Raw was having to, he was having some problems with ticket sales by the looks of it. AEW's really ramping up to go against SmackDown. Yeah. But just on the point of Raw, the ratings and viewership have dropped to the lowest level since before the return to touring. Now, Monday's episode of Raw brought in 1.582 million viewers, down from 1.856 the week before. In the 18 to 19, in the 18 to 49 demographic, the show posted a 0.42, which is down from last week's 0.52. Now, both the viewership and the demo rating are the lowest since July 5th, which is before their return to touring, back when they were still, stuck inside, not far beyond the Thunderdome. Raw finished number 8 on the night for cable, and it was the 6th lowest viewership in the show's history. Wow. There were increased competition on Monday, though, because they had Monday Night Football and MLB playoffs. So there's a lot kind of going on that might be factoring into that.
Yeah.
Dad, can we watch the wrestling? No, the baseball's on. Watch it later. It could be elements like that, but at the same time, you've got to think that they're going to be kind of scrambling. But WWE don't really put a lot of stock in the ratings, the demographics becoming slightly more and more important because more and more people are talking about it. But ratings only matter as much as the company dictates, I guess, because the Nielsen system, as we've read many times, is quite outdated. They need some sort of new way to do it. But at the same time, the 18 to 49 demo seems to be the most important thing to be hitting because AEW are really cleaning up right now.
Yeah, that's it. And if they're putting on shows, with the free buy-in and everything as well, I think WWE are probably, I think that's in the back of them, at least in the back of the mind. If not, actually, they might just be like, oh, do you know what? We don't care about ratings. And secretly, they're like, oh no, we got to do something. This is the thing, is like, even if they don't care about ratings, the problem is their competitor does. Exactly.
And so if your competitor they really like going on about the ratings they're getting, and it compares with yours, or they don't even need to do that. Everybody else is going to compare it with yours. Yeah. And if you're just quietly kind of sitting there going, ratings aren't important to us, and like Tony Khan's just going, we beat them every single week. It's another element of competition, isn't it?
Yeah, without a
growing war. So, yeah. But on the point of Raw kind of, meandering on and having to kind of shake things up a little bit in order to bring in some people, they've had some poor ticket sales, and so they've added a star to Raw. They've announced that Roman Reigns will be appearing on the November 29th episode of Monday Night Raw from Long Island, amid reports that the show's ticket sales were performing very poorly. Now, apparently last week, the WrestleTix Twitter account reported that just over 2,700 tickets had been sold for the taping, as opposed to over 7,300 that had been sold for Dynamite, which is happening a week later on December 8th. Now, it's unclear whether Roman will be on the televised portion of the show or just be making an appearance for the live crowd, but the taping's going to take place a little over a week after Survivor Series, and Reigns will very likely still be a member of the SmackDown roster. Still very much holding onto that title.
I think so. I think this is a good idea. I think Raw at the moment have been doing good things with having the Tribal Chief and the Usos and stuff come over to Raw. It adds a little bit something more, a little bit of depth, something a bit more exciting, like, oh, what can happen? Because they just turn up all of a sudden. And we heard about this before, sort of stars being able to, or higher tier stars being able to go from one brand to another.
Free agents.
Which I think is good. Definitely for Raw at the moment, which is most certainly in a lull and has been for a little bit. So to shake things up a little bit, I think this is a fantastic idea and initiative on WWE's behalf of going okay, sales are down pretty bad. Let's throw something else in there.
And if there's any way you can get us even remotely excited for Survivor Series, this is kind of, this comes after it, but having Roman peppered in is kind of, you're going to start getting that brand warfare soon where everybody forgets their feuding and it's blue team, red team, blue team, red team, blue team, just like that. For those random 3 weeks of the year, and then it's just forgotten about.
And then they're fine. Everybody leaves everybody else alone. Yeah.
But keeping it with WWE, we've heard some things about the game. Now this comes from Fightful. Apparently, the releases in WWE have messed with a lot. So WWE has undergone massive changes with their roster, and according to a new report, these changes have directly hurt plans for 2K22's DLC. And now, according to a report by Mike Straw of Sports Gamers Online, a minimum of 4 released superstars on August 6th was slated to be DLC for the upcoming game, with former NXT North American champion Bronson Reed being the centerpiece of one of the DLC packages. Now, reportedly, at least 2 DLC packages were scrapped over the past 4 months, and there have been talks of switching to a roster update service instead of, the DLC packages.
That would be a better idea.
The thing is, I've been wondering this, is there going to be residual code left in that game?
There must be.
Because
I think so.
There's going to be entrances for sure that will probably just end up in the, the Creator Suite, and it'll just be renamed to Entrance Energy 6. But I wonder if there's going to be residual here's Bray. Here's and they're just there to be found. So.
I mean, something like that would be awesome. There's data miners out there that'll find.
I'm just really excited.
That will be really interesting to see. But I think the idea of a roster update service is so much of a better idea for WWE and for 2K as well, because the rapid fire and sort of just not knowing when a bout of releases is going to happen is definitely going to mess with development so much.
My only gripe with a roster replacement service like that is do we get to keep wrestlers after they've been released, or do they get released and boom, gone
and then
from the
that's
game?
it? That's a really good good
Imagine
shout.
you're doing a career mode, and like, I don't know, you've been playing as whoever,
Yeah.
and then they're gone.
Gone. Oh, that would suck so much. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that would be awful.
Just disconnect from the internet, just turn the console on and pray. Right, now going over to Impact Wrestling, they've announced a release of one of their stars. Now, John Alba of Ad Free Shows has reported that Impact star AC Romero has been granted his release from the company. It had previously been reported by Fightful back in August that he'd requested the release, but it took several weeks to finalize said paperwork, for the release. The Fightful report noted that he does not have a no-compete clause, and so is free to work anywhere, and had been working for Impact on a per-appearance deal, which is kind of, your standard deal on the indies, right? You just kind of, what dates you got? Oh, I'll take those 5, we'll pay you this much. Sweet. And it's almost like a handshake agreement, right? And he'd not been paid since April and not used since May, though, when he tested positive for COVID-19. He's since been working on the independents. His tag partner, Larry D, is still under contract with Impact despite not being used.
Ooh.
So it's always awkward when it's tag teams that are kind of split by releases, so hopefully this isn't going to affect Larry D too much.
Fingers crossed it doesn't.
But, if AC Romero is being underutilized, he's not being paid, he's not, if he's on a per appearance deal and not using him, then you may as well kind of move on to pastures new. If you're still kind of to the public, like a contracted wrestler, and you're an Impact guy, then it makes sense you'd be getting used, right?
Yeah, exactly. And AC Romero is an amazing wrestler too.
Yeah.
It sucks that he's been underutilized on TV for a little while now, and he's been losing weight. He looks fantastic, and he can still go incredibly well. He's a mental wrestler who can go super fast for his size. We say that a lot about bigger wrestlers, but he's phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next, because I think it'll be awesome to see. I would like to see him in GCW.
Ooh.
That would be really good.
Oh,
go on.
Oh,
do it.
Now talking about big wrestlers.
Me?
The biggest of the wrestlers. So you're the second biggest, unfortunately, because you only eat 99 pancakes for breakfast. The Rock has hinted, he's not hinting right now, he's just over there. The Rock has hinted about his future presidential bid.
Wow.
And he was profiled in a piece for Vanity Fair. And he discussed a range of topics, including where he stands on possibly running for president of the United States. Now, the Great One claimed that he's done a small amount of research and analysis, and added that indicators are all very positive in, for example, 2024 and possibly 2028. He did concede that he doesn't know the first thing about politics or policy, but that he cares deeply about the country and its people, and that he does have decent leadership qualities.
Yeah.
Now, if The Rock does run for president in 2024, 2028, I hope. Who wrote this? I hope all American viewers remember to smack down their votes.
Sam.
So
He was campaign manager now.
I think that The Rock will easily win President of the United States of America, but I don't think it's what the world needs.
Exactly.
Do you remember when politics was boring and you just didn't watch PMQs and you didn't care, about certain and it was just boring old people just sat around talking about budgets.
Yeah.
That was great.
It
was great. Now the world's just on fire.
It's mental.
I feel like I'm addicted to political news. And I feel we just need to get more back to boring politicians, not a president who would probably, heli jump in to every appearance and be doing backflips on jet skis while also bench pressing his literal cabinet.
I think that some people probably would want that, though. You know
I kind of want it too.
I kind of want it as well.
Could you imagine President Dwayne Johnson? President Johnson. Oh,
do you know what?
They'll get him on SmackDown as well, won't they?
Oh my God!
Of course
they will. Of course they will.
He better do the if you smell when he gets inaugurated.
Oh, with that.
Refer to him in the third person as The Rock the entire time, and it's like you didn't vote for Dwayne Johnson.
You voted for The Rock. He's
President Rock.
It's just it's a little bit worrying when he says he doesn't know the first thing about politics or policy. Obviously, the president has a lot of people underneath him that helps him with a lot of the decisions made and things. I mean,
I do think you should hold some sort of office before you are allowed to run for president. I don't know if that's how it works already. He might have to do that. But I'm just intrigued by this.
Me too. I guess we'll see in 2024.
He might not know a lot about politics, but if he has heart and he loves his country and he has an ability to work with professionals who know what they're doing and can form a team that do know what they're doing, then all he's got to do is kind of be the figurehead, right?
Exactly, yeah. I guess so. And anything would be better than
he better make wrestling mandatory.
Ooh.
It's like, you've got to watch wrestling this week. 6 hours of it.
Just all his old matches.
Just has a button that turns on every TV to whatever channel's closest.
I'd watch. I'd move to America for that.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, that has been our second news video of the day. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If there's any more, of course, we'll be back with another video. But other than that, anything you want to plug, Andrew?
Not today. What about you?
I thought you'd broke. Nah, I've got nothing to plug either. So anyway, catch you all in a bit.